Guys, welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and I am back with my good buddies at the Motorplex in McKinney, Texas, because they have a pretty cool car that I want to show you. This is actually a review that a lot of people have been asking me to get on Instagram. You guys have been reaching out to me, hey, what are the differences between the Mach 1 and the regular Mustang GT? Do you think it's worth the money? What are your thoughts on it? Well, today you guys will find out. These guys have found a really cool car for me to review for you, so we're going to do that. If you're new to my channel, please do me a huge favor. Only 21% of you guys are subscribed, so please hit subscribe. That's down there in the corner, and we are off.
T-minus 15 seconds.
And there it is. That is the Mustang Mach 1. Actually, the first one they've had out since 2003. This is actually a 2021 model year. They do have the 2022s out as well. Some very slight differences between the 21 and the 22, which I will talk about. Very similar to the Mustang GT. Same power plant in this particular car that you get in the Mustang GT, but I will give you a lot of the differences between these two cars today and kind of tell you whether or not I think it's worth the extra money to go to the Mach 1. So let's take a look around this car, and then we'll jump into the specs. What a good looking car the Mach 1 Mustang really is. And it does stand out from your standard sort of Mustang GT. And there are several reasons why. This particular one is actually a non-handling package car. The handling package on these cars is about $4,500. And it does kind of set it apart even more. But this black and red combo, absolutely gorgeous. You'll notice right here on the hood, that's one of the first things you'll notice. A little bit different there. Of course, it is in fact a Mach 1, but it's got that gray kind of stripe in the middle with the red accents on it, which I absolutely love. You'll see those down the side of the car as well. And one of the more striking features of the Mach 1 obviously is you kind of get these like fog light things. Now you can actually take these out to provide a little more cooling in the front of the car. The Mustang here is gray instead of silver like you'd get on a normal Mustang GT. You do get of course some heat extractors here as well, which is kind of nice. So some subtle differences. You got to kind of know what you're looking for. Now I did mention obviously on the handling package you will get bigger wheels. So this one here, you do have the Michelin's, a little bit smaller wheel on this particular package, but you can get it with an optional 305 and 315 and very distinctive wheels in the back as well. If you do get the handling package, you also get a different diffuser here in the front, I should say. It sticks out a little bit further. And of course back here, you will get a larger deck spoiler as well. So it kind of actually comes up off the deck and it extends out a little bit more. So some of the biggest differences of the handling package in this particular car, but a very striking car, the Mustang Mach 1. You can see right here on the side, no mistaking the fact that this is a Mustang Mach 1. You can actually, for $500, get your Brembo calipers painted red. So that's another nice little option that they offer on this car. So let's talk a little bit about the power plant in this car. So here is the power plant in the 2021 Mustang Mach 1. And it's basically the exact same engine, the Coyote, the 5-liter, 4 valves per cylinder, dual overhead cam, all that good stuff, but it does make slightly more power than it does in the regular Mustang GT. So this one is actually rated at 480 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque, whereas a Mustang GT same year is going to be 460 horsepower, and then of course 420 pound-feet of torque. So the exact same torque, a little higher horsepower on this one. As we went to 2022, we saw a decrease in horsepower by 10 on both the Mach 1 and the Mustang GT. So the Mustang GT now makes 450, and of course the Mustang Mach 1 makes 470 horsepower. So both of those down a little bit. A lot of people speculate that is because of the new emission standards and things like that. So people will ask, well, why does the Mach 1 actually make more horsepower than the regular Mustang GT? And really the answer is kind of here in this intake and the intake manifold itself, which is a little bit different than on the normal Coyote. And so you're going to get, like I said, about 20 extra horsepower out of the Mustang, the Mach 1 version of this. So a very nice power plant, very proven. So let's take a look at the back of the car. Now, when you're looking at the rear of the Mach 1 Mustang, this particular one without the handling package looks almost exactly like a normal Mustang GT. Of course, no mistaking it is in fact a Mach 1. A little bit bigger exhaust tips back here, so it's got the big quad exhausts on it. Really nice looking car from the rear. A little bit understated, like I said, a lot like a normal Mustang GT except for the badge back here. Now, as we look at the interior of the Mach 1 Mustang, it really does feel basically identical to the inside of a Performance Pack car to me. Few subtle differences. Obviously, you can see right here, you've got the Mach 1 badge there on the door sill. You do also get this little plaque over here. So that is a serialized plaque. It says it is a Mach 1. And of course, the transmissions on these cars, things change just a little bit on this. So this is actually the exact same 10-speed automatic that you would get in a Mustang GT or a Mustang GT Premium, if you will. Now, if you go to the manual, though, things change a little bit because you actually get a 6-speed manual, but you get the Tremec in the Mach 1 versus the other transmission that comes in the normal manual Mustang GT. And the Tremec, in my mind, is actually much better. That is actually out of the GT 350. And that is a fantastic manual transmission that comes in this. Otherwise, you'll get the exact same thing you get in the Mustang GT if you go with the automatic. And of course, this one comes standard with your 401A or your digital dash. So otherwise, this thing really does feel the same. You do get some options on the seats, obviously, when you spec out a Mach 1. This has got the base seats in it, but you can get them with the optional Recaros or the regular Ford seats that come in it. So a lot of options there on the seats here, but really does feel just like a regular Mustang GT when you sit in it. Now, a question that I get pretty regularly is, why did Ford even bother to come out with the Mustang Mach 1? As we know, 2003 was the last year we saw one of these. And really the answer is pretty simple. We know they don't make the GT 350 anymore with the Voodoo, that very successful car for them, a fantastic fun car to drive, only available in a manual transmission. And of course, they don't make the Bullet anymore either. And that was slightly bumped up in horsepower as well. Very much like this car, they just decided to make a little bit of a different trim. But they wanted something out there that wasn't just a normal run-of-the-mill Mustang GT. They wanted something that was a little more track focused. And so they thought, you know what? Let's do this this Mach 1, and we'll give it this kind of optional handling package for $4,500. And for the Track Warrior, it's going to be a really, really good offering. So let's talk a little bit about pricing on the Mustang Mach 1 versus the Mustang GT Premium. And this one's going to base out somewhere in that $56,000 range. And like I said, this is basically a based out one. Of course, this has the automatic transmission in it, which is about $1,600. Now, I did mention to you that the manual transmission in the Mach 1, you do get the one out of the GT 350, the Tremec, which is fantastic. So is it worth that extra $1,600? I mean, you just have to decide if you really want that automatic transmission, same exact thing you get in the Mustang GT, but you know, with a well-equipped Mustang GT Performance Pack car, which is going to be kind of similar like what you're going to get in this, you're looking at about $56,000. That's what happened when I spec'd out a Performance Pack car online. Like I said, to get the same one here, well-equipped, you're going to spend about $61,000. So a lot of people think there's this huge, vast price difference between a Mach 1 and a Mustang GT Premium that's really well-equipped. And when I spec'd the two out, it was about $5,000. So it's really not as big a difference as you would think. So is $5,000 worth 20 horsepower? I mean, I'm going to drive this car. I've driven tons of Mustang GT, so I'll be able to tell you if I feel any difference when I drive this car. Like I said, on a base car like this, I suspect it's really not going to feel any different than driving a regular Mustang GT. So I want to kind of take this thing down the road and see how it drives. So as I'm getting to drive this car around, it feels very familiar. Obviously, as I mentioned, I own a Mustang GT and I've driven a whole bunch of them. And really, this doesn't feel any different than driving my Mustang GT. It feels very, very similar. The exhaust note in the back is actually quite nice. This does feature the MagneRide suspension in it, which is great, but you can also get that in the normal Mustang GT Premiums. Like I said, you can always go with the performance package and you get a lot of the goodies. This does not have the wider tires on it. So I think if I was going to go with, you know, a Mach 1, I would definitely pay the $4,500 for, you know, for the performance package. I mentioned all the stuff that you get on that, but it gives the car a little bit of a different stance. Now, if you're looking for something that drives way different than a Mustang GT, this one really doesn't. It feels a lot like a Mustang GT. If you want something that looks a little bit different and that is more exclusive than a Mustang GT, the Mach 1 is what you want, because they just don't make that many of these. They're a lot harder to find, and they do look a lot different with, you know, the stripe package on the front. And like I said, you got those big fog light things up front that look really nice. Adds a little bit of additional cooling. But the Mustang GT, you know, that's more of your just everyday run-of-the-mill, all over the place type car. The Mach 1 really was was made to be more of a track-focused car. So in my mind, you know, if you're going to get a Mach 1, go for the $4,500 handling package, because that's going to give you all the track goodies. Really, the whole reason they designed this car was really kind of for the track performance, you know, the true hardcore enthusiast that didn't want the normal Mustang GT. So I don't know, that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. So I'm really trying to see if I feel a horsepower difference between this and a normal Mustang GT. And when I go to step on it, it actually sounds fantastic. It sounds really good, actually. And listen to the downshifts. Woo, always love that about the Mustangs. Does it feel faster than a regular Mustang GT? I don't feel a lot of difference in terms of how fast this is, you know, because the normal Mustang GT comes on quite nice on the highway. So there's no question that this is a very capable car. And I'm really just comparing the two, right? Is it worth the money? I don't know. Now, from a handling perspective, I will say the handling on this car does feel pretty lively. And, you know, I do really like that aspect of it. I like a lively feeling car. You know, the car definitely doesn't feel heavy by any stretch of the imagination. Power comes on very linear like you would expect in a Mustang. And it still performs quite nicely. So, yeah, I mean, an overall well-performing car. Quite enjoyable to drive every day. Now, one other thing that I didn't want to just necessarily gloss over is the fact that because this vehicle is a lot more exclusive than a Mustang GT is, you're probably going to pay a premium for them at the dealerships as well. And unfortunately, that's just the world we live in these days. This car, from a sticker price perspective, as I mentioned, you should be able to get for right about the same price as a extremely well-equipped Mustang GT performance car. But at the end of the day, you know, finding one at sticker and getting the same deal when they make far less of these, that's a whole nother ball of wax, if you will. So definitely keep that in mind. So I really do like this car. It's a fun car to drive. You can certainly drive it every day and be very comfortable in this car. You know, it performs well. Is it noticeably faster than a regular Mustang GT? I don't think so. I don't really think it is. Now, would I buy this? Would I pay the extra money for the Mach 1? I would, but only in a specific spec. And I guess that's kind of the big thing that I want to mention about this is if I could get this car in the $61,000 spec that I would choose, which is put the performance handling package on the car for $4,500 and go with the manual, which, as I mentioned, is really good in these cars. I'm not a big fan of the regular Mustang GT manual transmission. I don't think they're all that good, but the Tremec is the same one that comes in the Mustang GT 350, which is actually outstanding. And that would make this car absolutely a blast to drive. And of course, you'll get the exclusivity of having the Mach 1 with the different look, and, you know, you got the fog lights and all the other things that come with the Mach 1. Yeah, and you know, for $5,000, if I could get it at sticker, I would definitely pay that extra $5,000 to get the Mach 1 over a well-equipped performance pack car, the Mustang GT. So really is up to you. I mean, it depends on how you like it. I'm kind of a gearhead. I like a more aggressive feeling car, a more exclusive car. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely rock a Mach 1 if I could get one at the right price and get it in the spec I wanted. Well, those are my thoughts on the Mach 1 Mustang. It is a great all-around car. You know, is it worth the money? It really depends on what you want to do with the car. You know, you're going to pay a premium, as I mentioned, probably because just they're exclusive. They're hard to get. Very cool looking Mustang. If you're a road course warrior, it probably is worth the money because you can get the performance package, the handling package on this car for $4,500, and you get a bunch of extra goodies, including the wider tires, the sport cups, the wider wheels, all that good stuff, and of course the extra downforce. If you're a drag racer, maybe just go with a base Mustang GT. They're like $39,000, and of course the sky's the limit on the mods of those. So it really just depends on your budget, kind of what you're looking for to do with the car. If you just want something that's an awesome driving manual transmission with Mustang GT-like power, the Mach 1 might be great. You get it in the manual with that Tremec. So definitely something to consider there. Let me know what you guys think at home about the Mustang Mach 1. Is it worth the money? I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.